Welcome, everyone, to the Excel in Case Interviews program. I wanted to take a minute to introduce myself for all of the diversity students at Chicago Booth and tell you a little bit about my background. And then following this, you're going to get a little bit of information about the program focused on case interview preparation and consulting that we've put together for you for this year. I am Pam Schilling, and I'm going to be your host and facilitator for a number of different things. And so I thought it would be helpful to have you get to know me. We'll have a chance to meet each other in person, but there's probably going to be some videos that you're listening to before we get a chance to meet in person. And so I thought it might just be helpful for you to understand a little bit of my background and the perspective that I bring as you're listening to the material. So I am a Chicago Booth alum. I graduated in the year 2000, and following that, I went into strategy consulting. But before that, I spent a significant amount of time in the technology industry, predominantly in telecommunications. After spending a number of years in the consulting arena, I wanted to really think about the kinds of things that I enjoyed doing, the type of impact that I wanted to make, and I found myself back at Chicago Booth, but this time in the career services team working with students. As I then evolved into where my business is today, eventually I went out on my own and founded my global consulting firm. It's called Arch Career Partners. I started this roughly about 8-9 years ago, and the firm that I have today, I really focus on working with talented and motivated professionals who are pursuing roles in some of the most challenging and selective hiring organizations. Over the course of my career, there were a lot of circumstances that I was in both inside and outside of consulting that enabled me to focus on a lot of complex, challenging problems. I began my career in the telecommunications industry in the mid 90s. It was a super exciting time. There was a lot of technology advancement. There was global competition occurring. There were new entrants in the market. And it was really a time of a little bit of the wild, wild west in that industry, largely due to deregulation of the telecommunications space. I also had a unique experience of spending a small bit of time working for the company WorldCom. Some of you may have heard of them. They're typically a very infamous organization because of one of the large corporate frauds that they committed. But I think when I reflect on that experience, it tells you a lot about how companies compete and where you're really trying to think about the use of different strategies like mergers and acquisitions, and then the pressures that come from being a super hyper aggressive growth company. This was at the time before the term unicorn was dubbed, and you see the pressures that management faces as a result of being in that circumstance. My post booth experience then brought me to a firm called Diamond Management and Technology Consultants. Today, that firm is part of PricewaterhouseCoopers. It was a super exciting time, also very interesting from a technology perspective. I was there during some of the rise of the dot-com environment and also the burst of the dot-com bubble. But I was very fortunate because I got to work with a lot of mature companies that were trying to embrace technology and the benefits of technology. This was in a day where digital strategy and digital transformation were not the buzzwords, but a lot of organizations were trying to rationalize their big investments in technology. Another really unique experience that I had, I worked for a company which today is called HERE, but when I was a part of the organization, it was called Navtech. I worked in the finance team. I was there pre-IPO and supported a number of initiatives that helped with the company's IPO, which for a couple of years was one of the most successful IPOs that had come out on Wall Street. And that was just a very interesting experience to see an organization transition from a startup to a public company and try to find really exciting areas of growth and to keep that growth going to meet shareholder expectations. I then went back to consulting and I worked for two firms, Huron Consulting Group, and then what was then Booz Allen Hamilton. Today it's called Strategy and. There was an incarnation as Booz and Company that now is a part of PricewaterhouseCoopers. And again, doing a lot of the traditional things that a consultant does. Some of my clients included United Airlines, FedEx, Quest Diagnostics, and it was a really interesting period again to help organizations think about rationalizing their cost structure, thinking about their operating model, and finding ways to really be a much better, high performing organization. These experiences are the kind of things that really help me as a coach today. A lot of my clients are looking to get into the roles and the positions in the organizations that I've been a part of. And so when I think about particularly the area of case training, not only am I thinking about how one approaches the case interview, I'm also thinking about what is really going on when you're actually at a client. And the more that you can think about that, I think the more realistic it actually makes your case interview when you're being evaluated by the different organizations. The summary of this has also put together the foundations of my team that I have today at Arch Career Partners. And I think this is a really important part of my work because we're constantly trying to stay relevant, to understand what's going on in the marketplace. I have a great group of individuals that I work with that are thinking about the evolution of technology and the right kind of content through their own experiences and the areas of research that you really need to pursue to help you develop the right understanding to serve as some of the guideposts for your case interview. So I always thank my team because a lot of the work that I do couldn't be possible without this great group. What we've then put together over the years that I will bring to you is not only my consulting experience, but also my corporate experience and sitting on the side of the hiring manager. And then having worked with MBA Career Services, it gives me an understanding of the kinds of resources that you have at your disposal, also the relationships that exist between career services and the firms. And I've had a chance to work with a lot of individuals that are just like you. I've been in your seat myself, and also I've had just an innumerous number of clients that are trying to achieve the same sorts of things that you are. Over the years, I've read a lot of resumes, I've conducted a lot of mock interviews, I've debriefed with a lot of students about the process that they went through, both to prepare and during the interviews. And from that, there are just a tremendous amount of takeaways and invaluable lessons. And so the ideas, the thoughts, the structures, the approaches that I'm going to be sharing with you are built upon this foundation. What you're also going to be accessing is this full portfolio of resources now that you're in the Chicago Booth environment. And I very much advocate and encourage and cheerlead for you to take full advantage of all of these resources. I think that's one of the things that really stands out for the individuals that succeed in this process. And by succeed, my definition of that is for you to obtain the offers from the top choice firms that are the kind of firms you want to go work for that support the business rationale for you going and getting an MBA. So in this portfolio, we clearly have career services. I'm always very appreciative to continue to partner with them to bring these programs. They also have a tremendous amount of programming and resources that you're going to be taking advantage of. Please avail yourself of all that. Pay attention to their emails. Having been on that team, I can tell you that there's just a tremendous amount of really valuable content. Of course, in this journey, you have the alumni, the other many alumni, people like me and my colleagues that are there to support you, along with the companies and the firms that are coming to campus, and even those that are maybe off the campus path, but they are interested in recruiting. And then many of you may have family and friends that have been through this process. Not everyone does. I did not. And so I had to avail myself of my classmates, family, and friends at times. And that's another one of the key components. I encourage you to leverage your classmates. You have a number of individuals on campus that have been in consulting, and you can also take advantage of the many resources that are going to be brought to you by the student groups. The faculty are tremendously helpful, and they're going to be obviously educating you on some important things. And then you have every other team at Chicago Booth. You obviously have the diversity office and that team, and the support that you need to get when you have questions and the different things that are coming at you that might be unfamiliar. It's a welcoming community, and all of you, I'm sure, are very excited to be a part of it. So, one of the foundations that I will be using to help you on this journey of preparing for case interviews, I use the idea of climbing a mountain. And the idea for you is that by the time you get to the end of this journey in your preparation, you should be prepared with the right things, the right activities, and you should be confident that you are in fact prepared. This will not necessarily guarantee your success, but knowing that you're prepared helps your confidence, and having confidence helps you achieve the success in the interview setting, which ultimately is an offer. One of the things then we'll be doing is focusing on case preparation that follows a set of best practices. There are multiple activities and a progression of learning. So the idea is to begin at a set of foundations, to really make sure that you've covered those, to then progress forward and start building your skills that particularly are used in the case interview. Then you're going to be connecting those different case elements or case skills together. And then the final stage is polishing all the different dimensions of what is necessary within the context of a case interview. And that relate to some of the ways that you speak, how you draw out insights, how you do some of your analysis, the efficiency of solving the case, those sorts of things. Thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to this video by way of introduction. And again, I'm looking forward to the chance to meet some of you in the coming weeks. And please enjoy some of the additional videos that have been put together for this advanced part of your preparation.